What have I done? Come watch and find out. Classics. I'm David Mayfield, and here you are on Driving the Classics. Well, this is our second episode on bringing back Blooper. Today, we are going to be looking at this Ford 390 and trying to get it back running. As we've seen before in the first episode, we just kind of have a compilation of what we're doing to tear the engine down. We've got the valve covers off, we got the carburetor off. Not going to take the intake off, it's just a little bit too much, but that's not going to be in our budget or time to be able to do that. We do have the distributor cap off, and I'm going to change the innards on that. We're not going to change the distributor at this time. We're just going to clean it up, change a little bit out, and see if we can get it running. Then we can go from there. I do have belts, so we're going to replace all the belts on that. As you can see, I have been working on getting the vacuum system back up to par. I do have some connections made, and so, but I'm waiting on parts for some connectors on that. I do have a new battery tray in here. Let me show you what I did. We did have to cut the bad out. If you notice on our first episode, we did show you how that, and I'm going to brace it up a little more other than just stick that in there. So it's not going to be just that. There's going to be a brace in there. Well, like I said, last night I did not film it. The motor is a little slow. I have not been able to get it over, but I've put some juice in there. I put some Marvel in there. I put some CLR. I did put some PB Blaster, and I did tap the rockers to see, and I think there may be some that are stuck, but I soaked them down real good last night, and so we'll see what we can do. We haven't tried cranking it over today, but that's what we have on the agenda, to see if we can get that motor to turn, and we'll just go from there. I did have to take the fan off just so I could get the wrench down there, but we will definitely show that process, so stay tuned. Well, it's time for a little bit of coffee today, but before I get started on this project, I know there's a lot of other channels out there like that. We have a Vice Grip Garage, we got Junkyard Digs. I mean, there's a ton of them, and I respect and I love watching every one of those. I mean, Derek on Vice Grip Garage, that is my favorite. I love watching every episode that he has. He's very entertaining, and I've learned a lot from him. But I don't want this to be like that. What I'm trying to do, and again, the purpose of this channel is to spark that interest into those people who may not know much about the classic car hobby, or building a classic car, or anything about cars, but is interested. And that's what I'm here to do, and I'm hopefully can reinforce. I'm definitely not going to be able to add to what Derek does or what they do on Junkyard Digs. But I can come at it as the common guy who doesn't have a mechanical background, who didn't grow up working on cars. I mean, I did, but not to the extent of this. And so this is the learning experience for me. I've always loved cars ever since I was a little kid, and this has always been my dream to be able to find a good project to work on, and we've done that. I'm always one of those to say I do what I say I'm going to do. I set those goals and I get it done. And so I'm hoping I can instill some of those values onto those who may not know much about it and can see the issues that I go through. These are not easy. Sometimes those guys on those channels make it look really easy. It's not. There's a lot of complicated things. There's a lot of things on this car that I found that I was not expecting. But that's to be expected, actually. So when you get these cars, you need to expect anything, because you never know what's going to be underneath the surface until you really dig into it. So I don't want to copy Derek on Vice Grip. I don't want to copy Junkyard Digs. I don't want to copy any of those. I want to be a different, I want to have a different method. I'm going to show you the process and what I go through, the victories, the agony, the pains, the frustrations. That's what this channel is about. And if you think you want to get into the hobby and it's like, oh, that's too tough, well, that's your right. But I want to be honest about it. I want to show you what you really have to go through with these things, and hopefully it'll spark that interest and it will challenge you. That's what I want to do. I want to challenge you to be able to do this, to be able to find a car, put it back together, no matter what the frustrations are, no matter what the challenges are, no matter what the hurdles are. Keep your focus and get it done, and you will feel more accomplished than anything else after you're completed, because you know you've done it. You know that you've beat the monster. You've overcome the challenges that you put in front of yourself, and that's what we're here for. So props go to all the other guys. I enjoy watching every one of them, and I have nothing bad to say about any of them, but I'm hoping to come from a different direction, a different angle on this, from the common guy who doesn't really do this very often. This is not their full-time job. And it's those guys that I really want to reach out to. So I appreciate you listening to me, and let's get back to rebuilding this 1965 Ford Thunderbird. All right, one of the first things before you really start working, and I'm not always the best at it, but I try to be. I've come from a manufacturing background, so we use 5S, where everything has its place, everything, you know right where everything is, and so I try to follow that process as much as I can. It doesn't always work when you're in the heat of battle with one of these engines, but again, I try to keep the area clean, know right where the tools are. When I have a tool, I can put it back, or at least on a table to where I can come back to it. And what that also prevents is leaving things in the engine when it comes time to start it, because actually I've found as we were tearing this engine apart, we found a few tools that were left in here that's probably been here for a long time. So that's what I try to do. Try to keep it as clean as possible, the work area, so we're not leaving anything, we're not dropping anything down into the engine, into the intake, or anything like that. And also you can notice here that I've got the intake taped up because we don't want anything down in there. So anyway, just a note before we start going, one of the things I'm going to do today, show here, is we're going to install belts. We got 3 sets of belts to do that, and so that's what we're going to be doing this morning. There. All right, we're going to go ahead and change the belts here. I've got all of my tools ready, and pretty much what we're going to need is a 9/16 wrench for these. I will need a 5/8 for one of the bolts to loosen up the alternator, so we do that, but I think everything else will be the 9/16. And again, we got 3 belts. Now I got this from a really good website just for Thunderbirds. It's called The Bird's Nest, Parts 1, 2, 3. And they pretty much have everything you need for Thunderbirds, vintage Thunderbirds. I'll put the link down in the description for them if you ever want to work on these. But they have a lot of parts, and they're really professional. I've talked to them, and they have a number of items, and they can help you with anything you need for any kind of question. So they'll definitely do that. But for instance, I've got 3 different size belts here that I did order from them, and that one, and this one here. So this one here is for the AC, goes around the crank. This one here is for the power steering, and this one here is for the fan and the alternator. So And I'll let you look down here real quick. And if you're not familiar with older cars, you know, modern cars now have the serpentine belts where it's all one belt. Everything connects, all the accessories. But on these, they did have 3. So you can see here, we have going to the air conditioning compressor down and goes to the crank down there. Whoops. Then the second belt goes over here to the power steering and goes to the crank and then goes, let's see, it just comes directly up. So that comes just for the power steering. And then the back one back here goes to the crank to the alternator. If you can see that down there. So that's what we're going to do. But we have to take all of these belts off in order to change them. So first we're going to take this first one off, and we do need to loosen up these bolts. So if you see here on this first one, there's a bolt right here, and you loosen that and loosen this one right here, and that will allow you to pivot this pulley. Same thing over here on the power steering. There's a section here you can unbolt that, and then you have to untighten it and it will slide. So you can adjust these, whereas nowadays you just have a tensioner that you have to pull to loosen up, to pull the belt off. Well, this, you got 3 different things. And down here on the alternator, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's the same thing. So most of these again are 9/16, but the alternator, the top alternator bolt, to be able to loosen that is a 5/8. So we'll do that. Now I've tried to put some light down there so you can see it, but you cannot really see it on this side. So I'm loosening up this first pulley right here. It's probably good to put a little PB blaster on it, just to loosen those up. In fact, I'll do them on all of them while I'm here. That alternator one I've got to go underneath to get that one. All right, so that's that one. Let's do the power steering, and I'm not sure. Yeah, you may be able to see it. I don't know. All right, let's see what we can get on this, if we can get a bite on this one. And again, I'm loosening this one up to get this first for the AC. Let's see if I can get behind here. Okay, now what I will do, leave that there. See if I can get my persuader, if I can get it in here. I may not be able to. There we go. See, I always try to find ways to make things easier. A lot of times people want to stick with a single process and, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be done. But you know what? If it works, it ain't stupid. And this hose may just get in the way. Yeah, I added this hose here. This is a new one. Did you hear it pop? Yeah, there's not much room in there. Pop. Oh yeah, we got it going now. So I will loosen this side, and then we should be able to pivot that pulley once we get it loose here. So let's see what happens. But always remember where you have it. That's the thing. Once you move this down, you're going to have to pull it back up once the new belt is on to be able to tighten it up. Try not to get frustrated because it is tight in here. And sometimes I get a case of the heebie-jeebies because you get a little bit of claustrophobic, a little bit of claustrophobia sometimes digging into these, especially when it's just very tight. Even if you're not in there, it's the fact that it's a tight space and your hands don't always want to do what needs to be done. For instance, I don't know if you can see these points right here. I did not take the fan shroud out just because I don't have the time to do it. But these little points, they'll get you. So you need to be careful on that. I got this loose in here. I'm going to look down here to show you. So here's the pulley that I loosened, the 2 bolts right there and right over here. And so the slide, you see how this thing and it can slide just like that. See that? Okay. Then you can pull that all the way up, and that's one belt. All right, so the next one will be the power steering belt, and leave everything like it is because you're gonna have to put them on in the reverse order that you took them off. So on this one, the bolt is down here, right there. If you can see, I'm gonna point to it right there, and the pivot is, yeah, it's way down there. So that's gonna be fun. But I think I believe I can get to that, or I should be able to loosen that. So we'll see which one it is. I'm not sure. We'll just have to play with it, but we'll come back when I get that off and I'll show you. All right, I did get the belts off. I did get the alternator one on. Now, one of the issues that we had, this bolt right here, that doesn't come off. That you put a cheater on that. That's a 9/16 wrench on there. Put a cheater on that, and once you get the bolt down here loosened, then you can turn and adjust the alternator with this bolt. But this does not loosen. It will turn the alternator, but then so when you go back, you put the belt back on, you put your wrench on that and pull it back as far as it'll go, and it will. This is tight enough to where it will actually stay. Or if it doesn't, then you may want to go get a buddy and come hold it for you while you go down underneath and tighten that bolt. So we got the alternator on. It's not as tight as I'd like it to be, and I may have to go back but again, it's a new belt, so I'll go back and readjust all those. I just realized something though. I did not. You always forget something. I need to put a bolt in the fan to keep the holes lined up, so I will have to do that. So, all right, we got it done. It took a little bit. Lost and found a bolt, but we have them all on there. They're tight. Now, the rest of them, for instance, let's look at the power steering. So we had this bolt here, which was a 5/8. This bolt down here, let's see if I get my pointer, down here was a 9/16, and then we had this bolt. It's probably kind of hard to see. I'll get the light on it. There we go. And we had that bolt right there. That bolt right there is a 1/2 inch. So I still need to go back and tighten that some. It's still a little loose, but we'll get that and to be able to tighten. But you have to pull up on this power steering pump to get everything while you're tightening it. Okay. The alternator was not as bad because it just kind of fell right back into place. But your AC compressor, that was a booger because you had stupid magnet. So you had this bolt, which was a 5/16, and you had one down in here, which was also a 5/16. But if you see this right here, you had to put a 1 1/8 wrench on that to get it pulled tight. And while you're pulling that, you are having to tighten it. So that's a 1 1/8 big old guy. Luckily I had that because I don't know what I'd do if I didn't. But they're all on. Wasn't that tough once I figured out where everything was. But again, also, if you see these bolts in the fan connector, make sure those are in before you put the belts on, because otherwise you have to retake them off. But now I can pull that off and put the fan on because that's going to stay in place. And so that's just a tip, something I learned. I knew, I just forgot to do it. So anyway, that's got the fan belts on, and so we'll move on to the next step. All right, I do have the vacuum hoses done, as you can see here. Hopefully they were routed correctly. The diagram that I had was not quite correct, which here's the diagram I had, and that's available online anywhere. But just for example, these two right here, these two fittings were actually reversed on there. I do, you know, this is new hose, new hose, new hose, new hose. This goes into the old hose. I've got it tucked under there. New hose, old hose. So that goes into the breather. So that's really all on this side. I did look under the dash, and it seemed, I mean, the hoses seem pretty fresh, but these are the ones that were bad, so I definitely had to replace those. So I can go ahead and take off all my markings. I'll leave the breather on because I know what that is. Take off that. I also need to put in this check valve right here, but I'm going to wait until I get the valve covers back on, just to be able to see how everything goes back together, where the placement is, because I really don't want it right on top, so I may put it in here somewhere, but again, I want to wait to get that done. So vacuums and hoses are done, belts are done. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can crank it over, because it's been soaking for a good amount of time. I'm hoping that everything will crank over just fine. So I have got a 15/16 impact on breaker bar, and I will be putting it down into the on the crank bolt. And this is where I get nervous at. So let's see if we can crank it over. Let's see if I'm here we go. Let's see. It's moving. It's speeding up. It's still real tight, so let's let it go back some. What I may do, I'm gonna put a cheater on it, because I'm gonna cut my arm off on this. All right, let's see how this works. Still a little tight. Let's try this again. But it is turning. Let's go back. And I dropped my impact. See if we can do it again. There we go. You gotta spit all that stuff out of there. I do wish I had a ratchet instead of this breaker bar this size. Man, he just didn't want to stay on there. But good news is it's turning. What I may try to do is, let me see if I can, no, because I'm not going to be able to get under there. Socket's not wanting to stay on the breaker bar very easy, so it just keeps falling off. It doesn't lock on. The good news is it turns. So all right, I don't have much room, so it's hard for me to get back all the way to see the enormous size of this trunk. But the spring, if you can see, there's a cable, well, not cables, but it's almost like a torsion bar back there, and that has come apart, and that's what keeps the trunk open. I've just got to get that back, but we're gonna have to get this trunk cleaned out because it's got all kind of junk in it. So that's why we're having to use the board, because, but I tell you what, this trunk is heavy. Some roll of coins in there. No, it's a battery. I was thinking coinage, but no coinage. It's trying to eat me now. But okay, we got a bag. Got some CDs and oh, remote control. Wow. Let's see what kind of CDs are in here. Read that. I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Master P. Hey, Offspring. Look at there. Man, let's do down here. They're just all kind of, yeah, it looks a little rusty back here, so we're gonna have to clean all. This is gonna be a fun job, cleaning all this out and finding out what to do with the junk. But here are that trim work that goes up front, and the sun visors. Oh, CB. A little air compressor. Amy Grant. Oh, that was a ratchet set. Nothing in there. Oh, hey, walkie-talkie. So it looks like it's got a number of sun visors in there. Looks like they could just, I bet they can just be cleaned up. I bet so. But yeah, that's going to be a job. So yeah, that's the trunk. Big heavy trunk, and I think that deck lid is what causes this thing to be so heavy. But I would get on the other side, but like I said, it's a very tight fit. Let's go over here. As you can see, yeah, there's no working on that side, which is going to be a disadvantage until No, we can't even do that because we got the refrigerator back here. So this is about it. This is about as far as we can get over because we need to be able to get into here also. Tires are definitely going to have to be replaced, but like I said, it came with the original hubcaps right there, and this place will get cleaned up more. In fact, I wasn't even expecting it to have anything this soon because we were wanting to get all that cleaned out before we did anything. Because we got to pull the seats out, we got to pull the interior out, and so that's where we're at. So when I started this channel originally, Driving the Classics, I wanted to bring awareness to the car culture, the classic car hobby, the culture, the lifestyle. And I've done a number of things on here. I've done car shows, I've done swap meets, working on carburetors, working on the parts. And yes, it is hot out here. But working on the parts, and then finally working on a beautiful Thunderbird that we can get back out on the road. But my main purpose is, again, to bring awareness and to bring people into the culture, into the hobby, who may not have had any other exposure to it. And so that's what we're doing. And so when we sell this car, this is not going to be a $30,000 car. This is going to be around a $10,000 car, maybe even less, depending on what we have to put into it. Because I want to have vehicles out there, good, nice, beautiful classics that a beginner may want to bring in. And these are going to be blank slates. I mean, you can do whatever you want to with it. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be running. It will look good. It'll be functional, and it'll be ready for that new owner to put their efforts in, put their heart into, and to build that car to meet their personality. And that's what we're here for. That's what I want to do. And there's so many other websites out there that are the same thing. You got Vice Grip Garage, you got Derek doing the same thing, pulling junker cars out and getting them going. Because these cars need to be saved. Here we are in 2022, and here I have a car from 1965, and it's still a beautiful car. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of art. The designs that went into these, you didn't have any other type of car on the road like this at the time. And it was a statement. It was a sign that you are doing well in life, and we can't let that be forgotten. There's a lot of things going on with government regulations and everything trying to diminish this hobby, trying to squash this hobby with environmental regulations. Even in California, you can't even work on these in your garage unless you're a permitted mechanic, and that's terrible because that just wipes everybody out who's working on these, especially in California, where that's had such a huge classic car culture there. So this is the story, going to be the story of this car, getting it back to where it needs to be to get on the road, and for someone else to enjoy it, to have their family enjoy it, and to be able to learn and grow in their experience in working on these cars. That's my purpose. That's what I want. So if you're watching this, you will be able to see what we're doing, what each step is going to be. It's going to be in a number of series. It's not going to be all in one episode. We've got some issues underneath that we're going to have to work on. We've got, which I didn't show, we do have an exhaust. We're going to have to replace the exhaust system on that and replace the tires, and possibly the wheel. I think this wheel, this driver's side front wheel is bent, and so I think we're going to have to replace that. But we're going to get all those redone, repainted, and get this beauty back on the road. And then it'll be available for you or someone you know who may want to get into the sport. So I'm keeping the prices low to be able to do that, to get these cars back on the road. And I just wanted to explain what we're doing and what our purpose is. And I hope you enjoy what you're seeing. I hope you enjoy this channel. You may learn something. You may teach me something. We're all teachable. If I'm doing something wrong, or if there's somewhere better to do the process that I'm working on, I completely invite it. Just don't be rude about it. You can teach and show that you may be doing something wrong without being rude about it. And I've had a lot of comments like that, and that's want to stay away from those. Be nice. We're all in this community, this car community together. We're all here to support one another and support the classic car culture and support these beauties to keep them running. So anyway, back to it.
So what I'm gonna do is actually.
You're pulling on me now. All right. Well, we got the driver's seat out, and you can just see how nasty that is. But like I said, the carpets. I mean, we're going to have to do something with the carpet. I'm probably going to. I'm just going to probably dye it after we clean it. But we got the seat out, and you never know what you're going to find. But that is a rat. Somehow he got up in there and got tangled up and couldn't get out. Poor little feller. But we got the seat out, and these guys are the ones that are working on it.
Oh yeah, I have actual screws coming in on that side here, underneath the seat.
Let's get this one up.
Pretty clean. He's got some dirt daubers on it. I think it'll work. That one's not the power seat though. That's
Yeah.
No,
that's
that's
not power. All right, here we go. We got that out.
There you go. If you were trying to check this one.
Yeah.
That's what you were trying to do.
It's solid. That format's good. We have to get a new one for the driver's side.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at this point. So,
All right, vacuum it up.
yeah, go ahead and vacuum it, and then I'll have to figure out what we need to do on that back seat, how that comes out. I think it just pulls out from the back,
It might.
and it just clips in.
But I know this comes off. I don't know about this.
Well, it will, but I don't think we're going to have to take it off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It is end of day 3. And we're still waiting on parts for the engine. We're waiting on valve covers, spark plugs, wires, coil, distributor cap. So waiting on a number of things. Got a capacitor coming too. So while we were waiting, we made a really big mess. But we got, like I showed today, the interior getting cleaned out. Carpets look pretty good. Haven't started on the dash yet. But this right here was our big job today. Getting the glass out was not hard. Actually, it's very simple if you don't strip a bolt. We got all of these bolts here out to be able to get the knob off for the vent window. But as you can see, I had to cut a little bit. That was a circle, but I had to cut it a little bit because there was a small, tiny little bolt, and I don't know where it went. Oh, right here on the end of the drill. I had to drill it out because I could not get anything to fit. I had an extractor and that wouldn't work. I had some other little small fittings. I had an 8mm, and that's what fit, and that's what this extractor is, but it just wouldn't come. So I had to drill it out. I don't know what that's going to do, but I'm going to have to find a way to put it back because that was actually a structural point for that. But I got the vent window out. I got the regular glass out. I got it here. I'm going to have to clean that out really good. Look down. It's inside the door. We got a pretty good space to be able to work on these. That's a good thing. So there's the glass, the main glass. We did get the door card off and the vent window, and the power window motor. Don't know if that works. We're gonna have to test it. I did get the steering wheel out, and it is pretty rough. So more than likely I can fix it, but I just don't have the time for what we're doing. So I'm gonna have to do a fast and furious search for these, because here's the problem. This right here, can you see that crack? That crack goes all the way through. And I mean, it's reinforced in here with the steel bar. I mean, that's not a problem, but it's just, it's a weak point. And I don't know if I want to keep that. I don't know if that, I mean, that's a safety issue. Something else we found out today is we do have a driver's side seat belt, but we do not have the passenger side seat belt. And I really, now the retractor and everything works on this just fine. So I'm gonna just clean this one up, but we definitely need another seat belt. Also, we are going to need an accelerator pedal. That would we have one, but I don't know if it's going to work. So tomorrow, while we are waiting for parts, I'm going to get in here and try to clean this dash up. I'm not going to worry about these cracks. It's 2 cracks, and otherwise the dash is fairly decent, so if somebody wants to redo that, they can. But otherwise, I mean, it looks really good in here for sitting outside with the windows open for 10 years. You got the little clothes hooks. I do have the weather stripping on order. I'm going to have to clean all that out. I'm not going to do that tonight. It is late, and I've been working on this all day. But I just want to give you some progress on where we're at, what we're looking at, and like I said, we're working every day on this to see how quickly we can get it done. The most important is getting that motor running. So we got to wait for our parts. As soon as we get the parts going, we're definitely going to try to get that going. All right. Until tomorrow. All right. It's into day 4. Yeah, day 4. And we're still waiting on engine parts, so we've been working on some other things. We did get the tires up on dollies, so we can move it around a little bit. Because what the problem was, and I think I showed before, is, and we've actually got a little more room up here, which is nice, but I still can't get through. Actually, let me do that. I said we did get, good grief. All right, we did get the car up on dollies, if you can see that. It's kind of dark. Still engine in the same condition. We did jack it up in the back and was able to pull it more this way. I think I did show this last night, but I got the windows out, and so we can put in the new felts on both sides. Well, what our main thing was tonight was to get this trunk cleaned out. And as you can see, it is somewhat clean. We got all the junk out of it. We got majority of the mat out. So you can still see some of the original material that was in here. That still needs to come out. Oh, there's still some. As you can see, there's the fuel filler tube. But surprisingly, on first investigation, on first sight, we have a very solid trunk. I mean, you have a lot of surface rust, but overall, very solid. There's a couple little holes right there, you can see a little bit. There's a little pinhole right there, but other than that, it's pretty clean. I cannot complain for a car that's been sitting out in the open for 10 years. We got the trunk weather stripping cleaned, grooves cleaned out. Yeah, the more and more I dig into this car, the more and more I am pleasantly surprised. And I'm still having issue finding a mirror that is not $300. And I don't want to pay $300 for a mirror. We did find out we will need a gas pedal, so I've ordered that. That one is broken. So I've ordered that today. Come around here. I did order a radiator cap or a collector cap. That's I got the fender's skirts off. If we come over here, this is a lot of stuff that we pulled out of the trunk. This is trash. That should have gone in the trash. Well, we do have all 4 original hubcaps. We got some extra sun visors and a lot of extra, like the thresholds. These are these another threshold. This is the top front of the windshield on the top of the headliner. That's that. We've got another fender skirt there. This is, I did get, this is the original door card, which I'm going to keep, but I did fix the bottom here so it at least doesn't flop around. So that's and that's what this is going to be. It's not going to be a perfect thing. I'm just going to fix what we have because it's very low budget. This weekend, like I said, we got the hood up here, and we are going to have to go, and I probably said it before, but we're going to have to take it in to get that checked on. So yeah, that's it. I'm really loving this car. It's been good to us so far. I mean, we still got a lot of work to go, but we are working on it every day. And like I said, this is the end of day 4. I'm probably look pretty tired because I was up late last night working on it. And then, but yeah, it's really becoming a project of love. I mean, we really love this car. So real quick, what we're going to do, we forgot to mention, we did PB blast the lug nuts. So because we're going to try to take the tires off tomorrow or the next day, probably the next day, because we got other things going. All right, well that's it. The end of day 4. We'll give you a catch up. We're probably not going to do a lot on day 5. We may do a couple of things, but we do have some other things going. Tomorrow I've got to go get the title done, the title work done, and not going to register it yet, but just going to get the title transferred because we got to get that done before we do it. And I'm not sure if we're going to register it at this point or not. We may just sell it with the title. So anyway, it's a work in progress. We'll get back to you and see you tomorrow. I want to thank you for watching our channel, Driving the Classics. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, I ask that you hit that like button. That really helps the algorithm for YouTube to be able to keep these videos going and get them out to people who want to see them, who may not know about the channel. It'll come up in your searches and get it out there. So that's what we're hoping to. So like that. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. And if you want to get updates every time we have a new episode, ring that bell, and every time we post one, you'll get notification of that. So, but again, I want to let you know how much we appreciate your viewership, we appreciate your patronage, and hopefully we can continue to make quality content that you'll enjoy, you'll share, and you'll pass on this great hobby of building and keeping and driving classic cars. All right, we're going to do our first test. We do got the battery in. So really all we gotta do is just plug it in. We're gonna see if it sparks, which I'm thinking it will, because I'm sure it's gonna be shorting on without some ground. So but no better time to try it than right now. So go ahead and we're gonna plug it in, see if it sparks. Oh, I heard something kick in.
Is the key in the ignition?
No, I've got the key. Well, okay, hang on. Let me turn the fan off. I heard something kick in. That's in the fuse box. That's in the fuse box. Let's go around there real quick. Hang on, take it off. Okay, turn on. Lights are coming on. Lights, see? Lights. That light's not. Okay, go ahead and plug it in. Go ahead and do it all the way.
Okay.
Let's check the headlights. Any lights?
No light.
Let's look at the back.
You see them. Dude, I see.
Oh, I got tail lights.
We don't have the stock.
Huh?
We don't have the traditional stock in here.
Hit the brakes.
No, it's off.
Yeah, turn the headlights off. I push the switch in and then hit the brakes.
Hitting the brakes right now.
No brake lights. Let's see.
We have tail lights.
Have tail lights. Go ahead and. Oh, wait a minute. We have a headlight.
Headlight.
Turn it back on. Turn it back on.
It's on.
We have one headlight. Hit the bright button. Oh, we're gonna have to do something with that. Okay. All right, go ahead and turn the lights off on that. So here, see if you can just kick it over. Just tap it.
That'll work.
Do it again. Let it go just a little bit. All right, we got turnage here. Let's go on this side. Hang on. Do it over here. Okay. All right, so okay.
And then the low fuel is on, so that light's working.
Well, hopefully that's the case. Let's see if any.
Can you hear the fuel pump keep going? Or no, the fuel pump will be up here.
Yeah, the fuel pump is up here. I'm gonna turn off the key. Okay.
Oh, you can't hear it.
I
Probably
can't.
not like mine.
Yeah, I can't hear it. Well, that's a good thing. All right. All right, it is day 10. Got a lot done, mostly disassembled. I do have the plugs and wires put back in. I've got the rotor and distributor replaced. Did get the battery in yesterday as we showed. I've got it to crank over, so we're good there. I was about to put the valve covers back on. I do need to change the oil, change the oil filter, do all that kind of good stuff. Last night I was trying to get the brakes done. The front, it's not seized. I mean, it's the calipers are locked, but it does turn. So I have drained the system, and I'm trying to get those back bolts off, but I've heated them. I did drain all the brake fluid out, as you can see here. Did the same over here, but I did break the line on the passenger side. So I will have to go get a new brake line, put it on that side. I mean, they're pretty rusty, but I'll have to do that. Last night, an important tip, very important tip. We have been bagging all the bolts, all the fasteners, putting things, marking them. But when I took the coil off, that also plugged in there, I had a bolt in it and I left it in it, hoping it would just stay there, and it did not stay there. Sometime during the night last night while I was working, I found that. And the wind, I'm sorry for the wind, it's really windy today. I found that bolt as I was working down there, and in fact it was in the dolly. It was down there in the dolly. I picked that bolt up, and I have no idea where I put it. It's not where it should be, which is on the shelf, or with the coil. I do not know what size it is, because I have two bolts. One's slightly too big, one's slightly too small. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. So that's where we're at. Like I said, I've got the distributor, I've got the wires somewhat placed. I mean, they're correct firing order. I just don't have them pushed all the way, because I will need to get the valve covers on. Something else I found out last night, and I've already taken the carb off, but it is a Motorcraft manufactured by Holley. Let's see, and come to find out, that's the knob. That's fine. That's where it's supposed to be. That's no problem. But over here, this is the accelerator cable. I just found out because I took the carb off without taking pictures, and it had a zip tie. Everything else is there what needs to be there, but that was zip tied. So I'm going to have to get a connector for that rod, which I'm not too happy about, but it is what it is. So I'm about to prep the valve cup. I'm about to prep the valve covers because I want to make sure all this is cleaned off. It's been on there for a long time. But we're going to put the cork back on like it was. Day 10. We've been working on this every day. I take that back. Not every day, because this past weekend, it's Tuesday today. I worked on a good bit yesterday. Today's day 10. Last weekend, I really took a break from it because I want to, spend time with family, do things that we need to do. I don't want to neglect that. And when you're working on these, sometimes you do get tunnel vision, you get focused, you get in the groove, and you want to just keep it going. But you got to take time for your family because that's your support. And without your family, the car means nothing. So always take time for your family. Don't ever neglect that relationship. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. As we go through the day, depending on what I do, I'll record that and let you know. We are behind on schedule. I've taken these 3 days off for work. I got one more day tomorrow to work on. I'm going to work on it late tonight. I do have some other items I have to go get. The brake line. I have to find a bolt for the coil, so I'll get that done. And I'm about to bought me some new wire wheels. We're about to wire wheel the valve covers and get those cleaned off. Now I have done from my head, so those are done. But I just got to get that because I want to get those back on and start to complete the engine. Now, until I get the coil set up, until I get the oil changed, I'm not going to be able to do that. So that's my plans for today. So stay tuned. Well, thank you for watching our second episode of Bringing Back Bluebird, where we're trying to get this 1965 Ford Thunderbird back on the road. And we're going to get there. And I appreciate you sticking around. This was a long video. We had a lot of content to put in, but we got a whole lot more coming up. So stay tuned to the next episode of Bringing Back Bluebird Part 3. Also, the next video that we'll be posting is from the New Braunfels Car Club here in New Braunfels, Texas, of their annual swap meet. As we go out there to look for parts for this beautiful T-Bird, we're also going to film it and feature it and show you everything that goes along with that swap meet. So stick around and come back and watch that episode when posted. Now, if you like the content and want to see more, I invite you to hit that like button. That sure does help us with the YouTube algorithm to help grow this channel and to get it out to people who really would want to see this content. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to get updates every time we post a new video. We here at Driving the Classics sure do appreciate your viewership. We appreciate your patronage, and we will always invite you to drive your passion. See you next time on Driving the Classics.